Hi, I'm Ricky Kennedy, and today we're going to be talking about something that really trips all of us up. It's pride. Pride's a really tricky thing because if you have it, you probably don't even know that you have it. But one of the best ways to know if you struggle with pride is how do you respond to correction? Somebody pointing out a mistake, pointing out a sin in your life, and so admitting that you're wrong or admitting that you're in sin. We see this play out in a character in the Old Testament, King Saul. In 1 Samuel 15, God tells Saul to go defeat the wicked enemies of Israel. And he tells Saul, don't spare anyone or anything, destroy everything. But Saul doesn't obey God. And Saul allows King Agag to live. And then Saul and his soldiers, they keep the best spoils of the war. They take the best sheep, the best oxen for themselves. And then God tells the prophet Samuel what Saul did. And that Saul will no longer be king, that God's going to remove Saul from being king. And so Samuel goes and confronts Saul. And I want you to notice how Saul, because of his pride, how does he respond to Samuel's confrontation and him calling him out on these things? And so in verse 15, we see that Saul lies. He says that they took the best stuff to sacrifice it to the Lord. This is just a lie. He had no intention of giving any of the spoils of war and giving it to God. But if you have pride, you'll try to make yourself look better and you'll lie about what you did. Verse 20, Saul says that he has obeyed the voice of the Lord. He denies that he disobeyed God altogether. And so pride, it moves us to deny that we've done anything wrong. It moves us to deny that we've sinned at all. And pride, it moves us to, play it off, as whatever you did, it really wasn't all that bad. Then the third thing that we see that Saul does is that he blames others. In verse 21, he says that the other people, not him, but the other people, the soldiers, they took all of the spoil. They took the sheep. They took the oxen and the best things that were devoted to destruction. And pride, it doesn't want you to accept responsibility. If that's what's going on inside of you, it's just like, no, it wasn't me. It was somebody else. It was my kids. And even if I go to my kids and I say, well, what'd you do? They'll be like, oh, well, it was them. They did it. And we can just be like that. We can just blame somebody else. Why'd you do that? Well, it was because of them. It wasn't me, or it was because of that situation. I only did it because of this. And because Saul, he can't fool Samuel in the end. He keeps all of these different tactics to try to throw it off and not accept his sin. But eventually he admits being wrong in verse 24. But it actually, even though he admits he's wrong, it's not because he's being humble or because he's actually sorrowful about what he did. Saul knows he can't be king anymore. Samuel's told him that. But in verse 30, Saul asks Samuel kind of for this favor. And he says, Samuel, when we go back, can I worship with you? Not that he's interested in worshiping, but he says, can I go back and would you honor me before the people of Israel and before the elders? Now we see what Saul really wants most. Now we see what he really cares about. And what he cares about is this. He cares about what other people think of him. Pride hates to be embarrassed. Pride hates for the sin and the mistakes, the short failings to be seen in front of them. And so being confronted with sin in your life, or being corrected, having things that you've done wrong being pointed out to you, it is hard. It's like if you're sitting in a dark room. For a while, if you've been sitting there, your eyes become accustomed to the darkness. And then when somebody clicks on the lights, what do? Your instinct is to just close your eyes because the light hurts. And the same thing could be true of our sin. When somebody kind of clicks on the lights, they point out our sin, it kind of hurts and we want to avoid it. We want to close our eyes, not look at it, and just pretend it isn't there. And we do that in different ways, just like Saul did. And so what I encourage you with today is to go to God and even ask him to reveal to you what are some of these things that you're struggling with? What is some pride in your life? Let's not sit in the dark. Let's bring it to the light and see where we might have sin in our life. But here's the good news in that, is that Jesus meets us in that place. Jesus loves us. Jesus, died for us. He doesn't want us to hide in our shame, but in Jesus we have forgiveness. In Jesus we have new life. And right now, if you've trusted in Jesus, there is no condemnation. There is no shame. And so go to God. The next thing I'm going to ask you to do is this. This is a challenge. Go to somebody and find basically a Samuel in your life. Somebody that will shoot you straight. Somebody that will maybe point out the areas of your life that you struggle with, or different sin in your life. Go talk to them and ask them, what are some things that they see, so they can help you see those things. And so, go to God, go to somebody else. Now, go in today over pride.